Things you should never do to a woman who is tough. Have you ever done anything to make a woman happy, even if it meant changing who you are or giving up your own happiness? You're not by yourself. Many men find themselves in this situation because they mistakenly believe that this is the secret to love and harmony. But what if I told you that ancient knowledge suggests you should take a different approach? Yes, I'm talking about Stoicism. We're going to look deep into the heart of Stoic thought today to find 6 principles. You shouldn't give in to women or anyone else for that matter. The point isn't to blame others or tell you to ignore your women. The opposite is true. It's about learning how to care for someone in a way that is beneficial for you, their health, and your own happiness. Think about this. Because she gave you hints that she wanted to do something else, you changed your plans. Despite the pain, you've adapted your standards to meet hers. You might not have seen friends in a while because she didn't like them. It sounds like you. This is not how we get to the healthy, balanced relationships we want. Instead, they facilitate the emergence of anger and a sense of selflessness. Fear, on the other hand, can be a leading light. Let's talk about how to handle relationships that are complicated without losing yourself. Are you ready? We should start this trip together. You give up your rights out of passion or a desire to please others. It's surprisingly simple to give up our freedom. You could change your plans. You were looking forward to putting aside your own hobbies or even changing your views to fit someone else's needs. It seems like love, but is it? Stoicism asks us to think about these sacrifices. Do we have to give up our rights in exchange for love? Or are we building a friendship where each person can thrive on their own? Take a look. Your honesty and freedom are worth a lot. They are the very core of who you are. You're losing more than just a part of yourself when you trade them for someone else's praise. You're also setting an unhealthy example for the relationship. According to Stoicism, negative relationships shouldn't be about losing oneself. They should be about growth, respect, and understanding for each other, all of which come from being free to be yourself. Know what you want before bending to fit someone else's world. Do you behave with love and respect? Or do you compromise your independence out of fear or a need for approval? Always keep in mind that a relationship based on respecting each other's freedom and uniqueness is not only strong, it lasts. Let's not sacrifice our valuable freedom for fleeting praise. Look at the timeless wisdom of Stoicism to help you find relationships that respect and enjoy our individuality. Who isn't paying attention to your growth? Take a moment to picture yourself on a road. The road winds through a forest filled with the leaves of life's expectations and demands. Every step forward is a step toward becoming better, wiser, and finally good. Now picture leaving your own road to walk on someone else's and putting their wants and needs ahead of your own. It's not just a side trip, it's keeping you from growing as a person. Epictetus would say that this is a waste of our cognitive powers and a failure to care for our own growth in relationships, especially those where we might find ourselves. Too much attention is focused on making a partner happy. This Stoic lesson is essential to remember. Giving up on your own growth or putting others' needs before yours can prevent you from growing and kill your identity. They didn't say to improve yourself for your own benefit. They said to do it to make yourself and those around you better people. We are not focusing on our personal development. We're not just stopping on our way. We're not giving our partners the best of ourselves either. After all, how can we really make other people content and healthy if we don't work on our own ethics and wisdom? The teachings of Epictetus tell us that working on ourselves and becoming wise isn't something you do by yourself, but something that makes our interactions and relationships better. Finding the right balance means making sure that while we're helpful and caring, we're not putting someone else's wants ahead of our own. 3. Keeping your feelings in check. Think about holding a beach ball underwater. You can push it down and it will rise with more force and often unexpectedly. This is similar to how denying our feelings in order to keep the peace in a relationship doesn't solve anything. We're just putting off the eventual emotional explosion that will happen. This is not the way of a hermit. Stoics believe that we should have a healthy connection with our emotions. one in which we recognize, understand, and control them, not one in which we deny that they exist. It's not just unhealthy to ignore your mental needs or push down your feelings for the sake of a relationship. It can't go on forever. You end up losing touch with both your partner and yourself due to the built-up anger and confusion. The Stoic way of life says to face our feelings head-on, think about them, and let them out in a healthy way. Finding the right mix between emotion and reason is important to make sure that neither one takes over. A big part of this mindset is communication. Being honest with yourself and talking about how you feel are not signs of weakness, but of strength and self-awareness. In his thoughts, Marcus Aurelius talked about how important it is to be honest with ourselves and think about ourselves in all areas of life, including our feelings. Seneca cautioned against becoming overly reliant on others, particularly in relationships, as this could lead to a loss of freedom and ultimately ruin our peace and happiness. This doesn't mean we shouldn't value and care for our relationships with other people. It just means we shouldn't base our whole sense of happiness or self-worth on them. Think about the picture of a tree. It might tilt toward the sun, enjoy the rain's benefits, and even help other living things. Its roots and dirt food ensure its growth, strength, and survival. Similarly, when we depend on someone else for our happiness or sense of self-worth, we're like a tree that needs something outside of itself to stay stable. If that source begins to shake, we could lose our balance. The warning from Seneca tells us to grow deeper roots and get power and nourishment from within. Getting more independent doesn't mean cutting ties with other people or separating ourselves. Instead, it's about building a strong foundation within ourselves so that our connections are sources of joy and growth rather than chains or crutches. It means focusing on our hobbies, working toward our goals, and building a strong sense of self that can handle the changes and challenges that come with life. To be happy inside, we have to look within ourselves, be honest, and sometimes have the strength to face our shadows. It's about being honest about our wants and fears and dreams, realizing that other people can help us along the way, but they can't be the only way we find happiness. When we're content inside, it gives our relationships and ourselves strength. When we don't need someone else to fill our gaps, we interact with them from a place of plenty, not lack. 5. Making a promise to a pleaser. Consider a scenario where someone asks you to do something that conflicts with your personal beliefs or interests. For example, you might act like you enjoy a sport that you really don't. You might also make life decisions that go against your values or goals. Stoicism shows us how important it is to live in harmony with nature, even if it's our own nature. This means recognizing and respecting our beliefs, principles, and things we like and don't like. We leave this road when we want someone else's happiness. We lose our authenticity and the trust and respect that underpin the relationship. In a beautiful speech, the Stoic philosopher Seneca talked about the inner fortress that every man must build and protect. This is a metaphor for our fundamental identity, our principles, and our ideals. Giving up these things for short-term love or to escape conflict is like not guarding the gates to our fortress. Friendships that endure stem not from self-betrayal but rather from mutual respect and understanding. Finding common ground while staying true to yourself is what it's all about. Stoics don't take a strict stance. Instead, they are very self-aware and honest. We should ask ourselves, is this action in line with my true self? Does it make me smarter, braver, more fair, or more moderate? If the answer is no, it means you need to stop and think. It's a lesson that love and respect, both from ourselves and others, grow when we are true to ourselves and not when we try to fit in or compromise. Before you make a solemn promise, please think about the Stoic advice that says we should first honor our essence. It's not about being selfish. Self-respect is at stake. It involves fostering a connection where both individuals feel encouraged to express their authentic selves. It doesn't change how much you love each other. The depth grows. Developing a relationship involves not only enjoying the moment, but also relishing the brief path towards progress and comprehension. 6th, ignoring the reason for your passion. If you perceive your relationship as the driving force behind you, it can propel you forward with swiftness and exhilaration. However, without the guidance of reason, the wind may veer you off course and collide with the rocks. Epictetus and other Stoics taught that we shouldn't be slaves to our urges, but should be masters of them and use knowledge and foresight to guide our lives. This doesn't mean stifling our wants. It means getting to know them, asking ourselves about them, and making sure they are in line with our ideals and goals. When we're deeply in love, it's simple to let our feelings control what we do to find a middle ground. Does that go against what we believe? We might overlook indicators that we would have noticed if we weren't overly enthralled. The Stoics were very smart about this. They remind us that we should look at our feelings through the lens of reason, so we can be sure that our relationship actions are not just reactions to fleeting feelings, but well-considered decisions. This Stoic concept isn't just useful for dealing with arguments or making big choices. It's also about the daily choices we make regarding the people we love. It's about choosing to speak freely instead of reacting. The best defense is to be patient rather than angry, and to try to understand before making assumptions. By following reason in these times, we work to make our connection not only passionate but also strong, respectful, and deeply connected. If you thought this video was helpful, please like, share, and follow for more philosophical advice and ways to grow as a person. Don't forget to leave a comment below with your ideas or stories about relationships and Stoicism. Be comfortable until we talk again.